welcome back to another episode of Open Mic with Boog Brand, where you can say whatever the fuck you want and we don't care. Welcome. We are live here on another episode of Open Mic with Boog Brand. Episode number 2 this week. Surprise, surprise. That is not what we planned, but it is what we got with the news. Pre-records just would not work. So some of you were here earlier this week. Coda Boy 32 showed up big for us, and here we are, Friday night, and we've got We Like Shooting. Shawn is in the house. So for most everybody who's here, you know exactly who we're sitting with tonight. But Shawn, I'd like you to give yourself a little bit of an intro, and then we'll go through a little bit of a roll call in the chat.
I'm on a podcast called We Like Shooting, and it's been around it's probably one of the longest running gun podcasts that there is. We've been going for over 8 years now. We've outlived a bunch, and we're just kind of keeping going on. We have a lot of fun, and that's generally it. I shoot guns and I talk about what I did. That's pretty much my whole life.
Well, that's exactly what we like to talk about here, is things that we enjoy doing. You know, I don't get to shoot as much as I'd like, especially now with ammo prices and you know, availability of it, number one. I just can't afford it right now. But I do get a hell of a lot of dry fire if I want it.
Yeah, totally. And you know, ammo prices are crazy because like this is literally my day job these days. So I've had to pay exorbitant amounts for some garbage ammo. Although no matter how bad it gets, I will never buy USA forged from Winchester.
Yeah. So I'll just run through a quick rundown of those in the chat. Operator Tony, yeah, you're first. You're still here. You're still here. Everybody knows, Tony, you just hang out in that chat all day long, but it's all right. We love it. Mark Spivey here, Boog, yeah, or should we say TP? Yes, you can call me whatever you want. Tactical Pineapple, Boog Brand, James, doesn't matter. I'm good with all of them. Who else we got in here? Saw Dr. Catmilk in here. Looks like that's pretty much it for right now. But hey, you guys are here, and yeah, Operator Tony, we are early for once. I'm starting to figure this shit out. So maybe we'll be a couple minutes early. You know, every once in a while here going forward. It's one of those things where I moved it out a little bit later so I could be a little bit better prepared, so that hopefully it's not quite a shit show when we get started. But you know, it still is what it is. We're at the whim of YouTube and all the other shit that I'm trying to use. So you know, it can be good, it can be bad, and you know, you're just along for the ride sometimes. So am I.
Yep, I know exactly how it goes, man. I know exactly what goes into like getting it started and making sure that all the pieces are working together. It's nonsense is what it is.
Yeah, you guys are crazy. I mean, you're what? You've got the We Like Shooting show, you've got the videos, you've got the podcast itself. Oh, you're on, like, I keep seeing, like, it's like 182, I think, was the other day for a podcast, and then I see episodes like 382 because, you know, it's I'm guessing you're differentiating like the video podcast versus the audio podcast.
No, actually, we do 2 shows a week. We do a Monday night show and a Wednesday show. Monday nights is like it's usually about 2.5 hours long, and we usually have a guest on for the first hour or so. And then we've got some segments that we go there. And then Wednesday nights, we have another show that's just us. Like we you know, it's just us hanging out. We have some different segments, but mostly it's just us hanging out and having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I get your show. I mean, you try to segment it a little bit. I'm not able to do that. I've tried it, and it just seems too robotic for me. So I like to fly by the seat of my pants. I bullshit pretty well, and this is exactly what we like to do. Catholic Gundamentalist in the house saying, "All hail the cult leader." I'm assuming you are the cult leader. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. By popular decree, not because I wanted to lead a cult, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, you know, I did turn you into the Lord Sith Shawn. So
yes, you asked me for pictures, and I sent one that I was just like sitting on my couch, like during the COVID lockdowns of the summer of 2020. And had a big hood over my face, and it was all dark, and you added a lightsaber. It was amazing. Loved it.
Yeah, I'll have to pull it up here eventually if I can figure it out. But yeah, he was also the podcast pimp. Well, I'm thinking a guy who does as much as Shawn does, it's probably accepted. So
Godfather, pimp, whatever, just give me my money.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess what got you started into the whole podcast thing? I know they kind of became big, but like you said, you were one of the first real gun podcasts, you know, real Firearms Radio Network kind of built around it. You pioneered the thing. So what kind of brought you into that? What made you decide this is what I want to do as a podcast?
Man, that feels so weird, first of all, to say that we pioneered anything, because we're idiots. Like, we're idiots that just talk and drink and love to shoot guns and love freedom and love America. Um, I was in the IT industry for a very long time. Software engineer, ran my own web development firm, did all that stuff, and it was great and it was fun. And I started listening to podcasts very early on in podcasts existence, and I listened to tech podcasts, a lot of stuff from Twit, which is Leo Laporte. He's a big podcast guy, not a big gun guy. In fact, he probably hates us for even existing. But I listened to a lot of that stuff, and we started this website. And the website, we just kind of wrote articles. It was me and my business partner, Aaron Krieger from We Like Shooting, and we wrote articles, and we were like, wow. The articles that we were writing were just for us to keep track of stuff. And then he said, well, I bet I can get companies to send us stuff. And I was like, okay, that would be cool. So we wrote some articles, and we said, wow, this is a ton of work. So we decided what we would rather do is just like build the website and let other people post articles on it. So we went on to Reddit and found people that, like Nick, argued with me about AKs, and I was wrong, he was right. Jeremy just posted a big picture of his armory. Savage talked about, I don't know, Bubba guns or something like that. And eventually we just asked them, hey, would you like to write for our website? They said yes. And the rest was kind of history. So the way that this turns into podcasts was, we used to have a weekly meeting, which was nothing more than us just getting on video chat and shooting the shit and having fun and talking to each other. And Savage, our correspondent, our cast member in Washington, he recorded it and he sent it to the then owner of the Firearms Radio Network and said, hey, do you think this would work as a podcast? Our correspondent, our cast member in Washington, I don't think that was me.
No, that was me. I apologize.
Okay, perfect. So he sent it over. Jake said, yeah, but record me like a real episode. And then Savage came to us and he said, hey, let's do a podcast. He already said that it sounds pretty good. We just need to record in a real one. And I was like, oh, no. I don't want to do that. I listen to podcasts every single day, multiple, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want my name out there. I didn't want my face out there. I just wanted to be behind the scenes, making the website and just, having fun that way.
Right.
But then after a little bit, I finally acquiesced, and I was like, if we do it though, we have to do it good, or we have to do it well. And because I watched Twit, which was a big podcast network and all kinds of really professional, highly produced shows, I was like, if we're going to do it, we have to do it like that, not knowing that it was really hard and really expensive to do it like that. But we did it. We sent it into the Firearms Radio Network. He liked it. And thus We Like Shooting was born.
Excellent. That's crazy. I mean, it's definitely one of those things that I've enjoyed watching. I don't ever get to catch you guys live just because, like, that's the nature of what I do. But
yeah.
You guys have been going live a little bit different times lately, it seems. So I don't know. I've been catching it a little bit more.
Oh, nice. It's the same time
maybe
as
it's just, maybe I just got
actually
different free time.
Maybe, yeah,
got some
exactly.
Different free time, I guess, or I'm just getting recommended it more. That's definitely an interesting difference, is what I'm recommended now versus what I was recommended a year ago on YouTube or anything is absolutely different, and it changes every day. Now it's even worse because now, I mean, they're censoring 90% of stuff. You don't get any notifications for anything half the time. So
true. I generally, I don't know, like I go through phases. Like sometimes I watch criminal stuff, just like watching interrogations of criminals, high profile criminals afterwards. Sometimes I watch Audit the Audit. I love that channel. Sometimes I watch a channel called Wintergarten. Wintergarten. I don't know. He's building the big, huge marble machine that plays music, and it's like all the engineering and the making that goes into it. Love that. And then sometimes I watch Tim Pool. Sometimes I watch Joe Rogan. Like, I don't know. It's like kind of all over the place. And I think my recommendations have no idea what's happening.
No, that's fair. I completely understand that. Just real quick in the chat, the operator Tony says that I should get all the advice I can from you. I'm going to try. I don't do this very well. I don't do it very often, but you know what? I'm going to take whatever I can get. So it's all right. Catholic fundamentalist, you haven't seen the parties they throw, they get destroyed. So I'm guessing you throw some hell of a party, which I've seen you drinking PBR on stream. I'll believe it.
Yeah. I don't. There's empty cans in the studio, but yeah, none. Yeah, I don't know. We kind of like our. Do you remember, like, I don't know how old you are, but back in the day, when hair metal was a thing and Motley Crue was throwing TVs out of hotel windows and stuff like that,
Yep.
we're a little bit less property destroyer, but I don't know. We've somehow taken on this mantle of like the rock stars of the gun content creators. But I mean, we're not that bad. Like, and we're never trying to be destructive or anything like that. Just when we're around, things get broken and Airbnbs get set on fire and holes get put in walls and
Oof.
glass doors get broken. And it's never anything crazy, like just one
It's just
time
something
Jeremy picked me up
stupid.
over his head and threw me into a wall, but the story lives on and takes on its own life at some point.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting way to go about things. I've not heard those stories before, but uh, I guess I don't catch as much. Some people have heard these stories before, so I don't catch as much as some people do, I guess. But then again, I guess I don't get to watch as much YouTube as I think I do. Um, yeah, it's the ogre, says
That's
Catholic
Jeremy.
fundamentalist.
Yeah, that's Jeremy. He's a big, huge ogre, and he destroys things just by looking at them.
Yeah, yeah.
And to be fair, we didn't set our own Airbnb on fire. We set Faxon's Airbnb on fire.
Well, at least it wasn't yours. It was their deposit that they had to get back.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. So I guess how political do you usually get? I've heard you guys get a little political here and there. I don't want to get too political tonight just because it is like fucking overwhelming, the shit that's been going on lately. Um, but I do kind of want to talk about censorship, tech censorship. It's kind of a big thing going on today, especially.
Yeah.
Having some major issues. I know Parler and Gab were both down earlier. I think Parler's back up, but from what it sounds like, they're not on the Google Store or the Apple Store anymore. I don't
Yeah. I
know.
was reading in on this earlier today. I mean, MeWe was down for hours as well, which in my opinion is the most mature of all of those kind of third party services. Yeah, this is a huge concern, and it's kind of crazy. Like, I saw that they banned President Trump on Twitter permanently today. He then went to the @POTUS account and railed against them, and they immediately deleted those tweets as well. Well, that's terrifying to me.
Yeah.
88 million, 88.7 million people on his Twitter, and they just shut that channel down. That is insane. And then the what I read about Parler is that they have demanded that they come up with they gave them 24 hours. They emailed them and gave them 24 hours to come up with a content moderation system, which Parler is not about that at all. And
Right.
I mean, 24 hours to do that, you can't even design a content moderation system in 24 hours.
Right.
Much more code it, write it, deploy it, and everything like that. So
Yeah.
to
I think
me,
it's disturbing that big tech is literally throwing their weight around, and they're going to try their best to destroy these smaller platforms that they're the only place you can go and actually have an open and honest conversation with literally anybody.
I, I mean, it is profoundly disturbing to me, and just maybe a sign of things to come. But for the first time, I'm starting to realize that, like, we're getting backed into a corner, and it's not like this is a small amount of people. They're doing this to 75 million plus people in the United
Right.
States alone,
Right.
and that's just what we know voted for President Trump in the last election. They're doing it they're disenfranchising God knows how many people, and it is terrifying. It is Orwellian. It is criminal, and man, I don't know where it's going to go, but it's super super concerning.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane what's going on right now, and I don't even want to like talk too in depth about it because I haven't seen all of it. But what's absolutely insane to me is like people are saying they can't get it on Google. You can't even download it from Parler's website onto a Google system right now. Um,
Only if you enable off or
yep,
side loading
yep.
third party apps. Yeah.
So you have to go in and for anybody who doesn't know how to do that, it's really easy to look it up. But really, all you have to do is go into your main system. I think it's God, I couldn't even tell. I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head. It's really super simple. It's like you tap something 10 times, it unlocks administrator mode, and then you can go in and turn on third-party apps. It's super simple. Just Google it, and then all you got to do is go online and don't Google it. Just go on DuckDuckGo or something. Avoid that shit. It's horrible. But just search for Parler APK, and you can get the APK file and get it going on your system. But the fact that you have to do that is fucking ridiculous to me. Um,
Like it is. I genuinely can't. It's absolutely
there you
one
go.
of the most
Operator
terrifying
Tony's got
things.
it in the chat. He says tap on device ID 10 times, enables developer mode. I couldn't remember what function it was. I haven't used an Android device in, God, it has to be probably 5 years, 6 years. I can't stand them. So, real quick in the chat, drop it like it's Scott stopped in. Says good evening, all. Chambered Defense showed up. Hey, we've been missing you, bud. Uh, glad you're still okay. Um, definitely one of those things where, haven't heard from you. Kind of was concerned. You were here all the time, and then all of a sudden gone. But I know how it is in the medical field too. So just hope everything's good on your end. Eric Anderson coming in saying we can only take so much before we can't take anymore. Yeah, I think we saw that Wednesday. Interestingly, there's two different sides to look at it, and there's a lot of different ways, and I don't think we're ever going to know the truth. I think it's just going to be used against us no matter what. So, without even digging too far into that, it's just kind of, it is what it is at this point. I don't know how we move forward from it. I don't know what moving forward looks like. It's crazy.
Comply.
What's happened this week is absolutely insane.
Yeah, comply. That's the way forward.
I don't think we can comply. I
I,
can't. I can't do it. Like I can't. What they're asking, I can't do it. So I
I
guess
agree.
they're gonna have to come see me at my house. They know where I
We'll
live.
see.
So
Yeah, we'll see. Be an unpleasant visit for everybody, I think.
it's not a visit anybody wants. And I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Like I'm not one of these people who's gonna sit here and say that I'm ready for whatever they're gonna come, because I'm not. And my family comes first and foremost. But at the end of the day, fuck with mine and I will fuck you back. So it's not going to be fun for anybody. I may not win, but you're not going to fucking come out unscathed. So
Yeah, it'll be odd. I do know you mentioned going back to the downtime for MeWe and Parlor. Like I think my guess is they use some common back end, some common third party back end, like maybe Amazon AWS or just to run their systems, and that maybe there might even be some things going on there that we
yeah,
don't know
I
about.
mean, I can honestly say, yeah, I'm sure they did. Nothing runs today without either Google, Apple, or Amazon being behind it anymore.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, really nothing. AWS services are fucking everywhere. And for people who think they can get away from it, like if you're in manufacturing, you're being basically controlled by AWS. Um, People are going to that. It's the new Kaizen. It's the new black belt system. It's going to get people through, and that's what companies are going to go to because it's cheaper, it's effective, and they've got engineering support. So it's scary that we are literally at the behest of all of these people who literally couldn't care less about 90% of America, much less 90% of the world. As long as they get a paycheck, they're happy. So, real quick, Yeti Ruckspin says, "Hey Shawn, fuck you." Hashtag WLS is life.
What's
um,
up?
Hiker Bro is also in here. He already had Parler installed, and Google is blocking his feed. Yeah, that actually was happening earlier. I know a lot of people have got theirs back. If you're still experiencing that, I would definitely maybe restart. But there's some people saying too that they just came in, they got a list of people, and the scary thing is when Parler came out, they did put together an ID system, right? So if you wanted a verified account, it was actually pretty easy to get a verified account, but you had to submit an ID, right? So you get a verified account really simply, but you got to submit your ID. And I don't know if they're still doing it, but there's a lot of people out there who have verified accounts. So all that information, your address, your face, your everything is within their system somewhere. So if they were taken down, that information could very easily be in the hands of people you don't want it in. But again, not being too conspiratorial, let's be real, all that shit's out there already. So if you have an ID, it's in the government system. So
Yeah, that is true. And I'm not a big conspiracy guy. Like my guess on Parler right now is probably what happened is people saw it in the news that it was getting removed from the servers. They got real curious. The last time when some other changes were made, and Parler got a big bump. They went down and they were really unstable for a few days. My guess is that is most of the case today. However, who knows? Like, you live long enough, you see enough things that you're like, oh, that's actually real. That's actually true. And that were conspiracies that anymore, I believe just about anything.
Yeah. Hiker Bro says, gotta wonder if AmCon is going to be next. I would say that pretty much anything that we do as conservatives, and I don't even say conservatives, it's libertarians, it's anybody who's to the right of the left at this point, is suspect to whatever they want to do. And unfortunately, I think part of it is that they're going to push their weight around because they know that under a more democratic controlled government, they're not going to be subject to the lawsuits that they've been subject to, just so long as they're only censoring one side. So we know their hypocrisy. We can see it even just in the way they're calling shit right now. The fact of the matter is that, no damage really done during this last Wednesday. I mean, there's damage obviously, but like you're talking maybe $100,000 worth of damage. And that's really high end from what I saw, versus, June where you're talking $2 billion worth of damage within a 2-week period. So, difference between peaceful protests and domestic terrorists, I guess. So, and that's
property
probably
destruction is property destruction,
right.
like, but at the same time, like, hey, you know what? When Minneapolis was on fire, I was like, fine, burn it down. Let's see what comes of it.
Right, exactly, and I think it's the hypocrisy that, I mean, I don't like to see it either way, but I think it's the hypocrisy of how they're calling it. It's the worst thing in history. It's the biggest attack on our democracy, and yet nobody was saying anything in June. So, and regardless of how they want to play it, I think everybody sees it. So it's almost ignorant at this point. It almost seems as though they were expecting more out of it than what they really got. I'm not going to be one of those people who goes out and pulls up these possibly doctored documents that say, "Oh my God, they were reporting on it 2 hours before it happened." I saw some. I think it was on Victory Network earlier today, just kind of watching just different opinions and see what people like to say. And they're touting all this stuff that, like, I know 6-year-olds that could doctor that shit. So, like, I don't put any weight in any of that stuff. So, it's really, I didn't see it at the time. I'm not going to believe it. So if somebody can prove that it actually came out at that time, different story. But until then, I don't put any weight on it. So
yeah, that's I mean, like everything I read, I feel like is fake these days. What doesn't matter where it comes from, doesn't matter what it's on. The only data that I truly trust anymore is data that I can verify with my own 2 eyes.
Exactly.
With like some spikes in the Georgia runoff, like I went to the elections department for the Secretary of State, downloaded the data, and it took me like a day to import it all into Google Sheets, and then I was able to actually grab it, create the graphs myself, and see that spike actually truly does exist.
Right.
And that's the only thing I trust anymore is what I can specifically see with my own eyes, and even who knows how skewed that data is.
Right. And it's I hate to even go there and say it, but without knowing exactly how all the systems operate and all the circumstances that go behind it, I hate to even use the whole "it's missing context" thing, because we all know what that means in terms of social media. But
Yeah.
If you don't have the full context, you can't really actually make the whole picture. So there could legitimately be a spike that occurs just based on general, how a system operates. Do I think that it's perfectly the way it's shown? Not really. It kind of draws some questions, but at the same time, I'm not going to be the one that's out there saying whatever. I'm not a chemist. I'm not any of these people who can actually validate these systems. Software engineers, none of that. So I'm at the mercy of whatever people tell me, and unfortunately, whether I believe it or not, I have to just kind of go along with it. So, just jumping in the chat, Armaments and Axes says that we like shooting. Jim Beam, I'm cheap and drink Kentucky Tavern. But hey, cheers anyways. So
Jim Beam was on sale, and we go through a lot of whiskey.
yeah, I got Jack in this cup, so I'm
nice.
That's where I go. It's on sale locally, and well, I like it, so that's what I drink most of the time. So
Me too. Actually, Jack Daniels is what I drink 90% of the time. But hey, Jim Beam was on sale.
right, Jack Daniels, Pabst Blue Ribbon, and every once in a while something a little dirtier. So
I love it.
uh, let's go back in here. Mark Spivey says the whole thing needs a detailed audit. I think it really does. Unfortunately, we were told to pound sand. So I don't. As much as some people are out there, and you know, I respect a lot of these content creators that are out there that are saying, you know, this isn't over. You know, we still got a chance. There's still this. There's still that. Stop focusing on a pipe dream and start focusing on the next 4 years. It's time that we get off these fucking keyboards. We get out there and we do something about these attacks on us. I'm not saying it's time to go fight. I'm saying it's time to, like, you got to start doing something locally. If we don't get out there on the local level and start affecting these elections locally for the next 2 years, you know, in 4 years we're really screwed. So, you know, we need to get out there locally and actually do more. So,
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how the next 4 years go. I know that We Like Shooting will be out here reporting until they take us away in handcuffs, if that comes to where it's going to be. We're going to be out here talking about it. We're going to be out here talking about the things as they come down. We're going to be talking about the stuff that people innovate around the stupid laws. We're going to be talking about whatever guns were still available to have. Like, we're going to be here. We're going to be here for the people, and we're going to be here just doing what we always do, living life and trying to figure out a way forward.
yeah, no, definitely, and I think that's a big thing for everybody too. Is if you have a voice, we got to use it. The media is completely screwed, so I don't have a huge voice. I don't have a huge audience, but you know what? I'm gonna keep doing this every week until somebody shuts me down. And like I've told everybody before, the day they shut me down in YouTube is the day I go to BitChute or DLive or whatever, and I'll post it. I'll post this shit right up on my website. I don't care. I'll host it myself if I have to. I have the bandwidth. I just need to figure out the coding. So. It's
Yeah, I mean, have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Like I always talk, we have multiple redundancies that I've built into the system, hoping that this day didn't come, but trying to be ready for it if it did. So Firearms Radio Network, We Like Shooting, like, we're going to continue. If I have to run it on a server in a closet somewhere, and I literally have a server in a closet somewhere ready for it. So
that's perfect. So, I guess to get a little bit away from the political stuff, and I don't like to pivot so 180, but I guess being an R&D engineer, that's what I do. You know, start off one direction, completely pivot to the other direction. But the whole point of this show is to kind of have a little bit of fun. So I'll kind of go away from that a little bit, and kind of get into what you like to shoot. So I've heard you guys talking before about, you know, your kind of your favorite rifles, your favorite platforms, but like if you had unlimited funds, unlimited ammo, what is the one thing that you would love to shoot just all the time?
I had a bucket list item of a minigun, but I actually just crossed that one off last month in Texas at the Texas Gun Experience. I got to shoot 250 rounds of 308 in the minigun in about 4.5 seconds. And that was amazing. But you know, one of the great things about like what I do for a living now is that I get to cross these bucket list items off all the time. Like, I'd never shot a 45 ACP open bolt grease gun, shot that at Texas Gun Experience. Like, we get to go to all these events and shoot all these amazing guns. Like, I don't know, it's tough to say. Like, I've shot a howitzer, big huge cannon, in Texas again at Ox Ranch. That was amazing. So like, most of my bucket list stuff I've crossed off, and not only most of it, I've even got to shoot multiple times. Got to drive a tank. So like, my bucket list is just about crossed off as far as shooting cool guns. But now it's just the old faithfuls that I truly love. Still to this day, my favorite pistol is an M&P 9mm, the first version. It's a pro with a 5-inch slide, and I can shoot that thing lights out all day long. I don't know what it is. It's just that is the gun that has become one with me. It's like Avatar. I put my ponytail into its grip, and we became one. And that's like one of my favorites. My rifle, the one that I've been shooting a lot lately, is just a 10.5-inch SBR. It's all set up for my night vision and everything like that. It's amazing. Like, those the ones that I love. I have a full auto Glock that I just shot for the first time the other night. That was amazing and fun, and can't wait to shoot that again. I get to shoot so much cool stuff, and that's what we try to do on the show, is like share those experiences and just like talk about them, because we're so passionate about just guns and shooting in general.
Right, right. John Hesse Jr. in the chat says he likes to shoot it into guys' buttholes. So I hope
That one
not,
must have
but
gotten
hey,
blocked.
I don't judge. It's your thing, whatever.
But I like his mom more.
Oh, hope she brings the Pop Tarts. So I remember Synaxis has hung out with him not long ago. Must be talking about Jeremy.
Yeah,
Yep.
Jeremy from the show.
So yeah, C. Gillespie says I think the next 4 years will be worse than 8 years of Obama. I guess we're gonna see. So, back more to the guns and fun, I guess. Yeah, John S. He's probably like, I didn't think he was actually gonna read that, but he's laughing in the chat, so it's good.
What's your bucket list gun, man?
I think I'd have to say I actually just I'd really like to shoot 40 millimeter auto grenade launcher. Just sit there and thunk, 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 thunk. So that to me seems like fun.
Yeah,
I used to build the pallets for the 40 millimeter HE rounds, and just putting all the cans on there, just to test it. It's just like one of those things. It's just like, oh, I wish I could just take them off.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I don't think I've shot a 40 actually, but I've shot the 37 millimeter training stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think, have I shot? Yeah, I think maybe I have actually shot a 40, but it was chalk rounds.
Yeah. Either way, I think it's still that just that tunk, 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 tunk.
Yeah.
Just be cool. Whether it's going bang or blowing up in the background, I think it's just that chunk along,
Yeah. Do you remember the shows?
I just like those slow, fully automatic. It doesn't need to be just a massive rate of fire like the minigun. To me, I like the minigun, just seems so uncontrollable, but I think it'd be like awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, for some reason, just that slow, controllable, full auto, just doom, 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 doom. Something like the 50 cal. Just going at it.
Yeah, you'd probably love the grease gun in 45 ACP, that open bolt machine gun. That thing's got a cyclic rate of maybe like 400. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I mean, I like things that go fast. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It's something about the slow, full auto that you don't have to do anything. You could really probably fire it faster if it was not full auto, but just giving it, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I do love the chunky stuff, the fast stuff, like whatever. It's all amazing.
Yeah.
I really do love shooting.
Yeah. Armaments and Axis says, I was lucky, I guess, working for a gun store and living in front of the range in the 90s. I checked off many of the guns off the bucket list, their annual machine gun shoots. Yeah, I mean, I've had the opportunity. Unfortunately, I've never taken it to go down to like Kentucky for the full auto shoots. I've been invited. I just haven't done it. Maybe this next year will be something that'll be fun. But I have been to Steel Mountain in Michigan. I worked on the M1A Abrams hydraulic conversion when they were switching over from the turbines, and the joint assault bridge the same. Apparently somebody didn't think about going into the fucking desert with a turbine engine would be a bad thing. And if anybody's curious, if you don't already know this, just a word of wisdom: turbine engines don't function in sand. So,
makes sense.
At the beginning of the Iraq War, one of the things that everybody remembers seeing, I know, is like images of the tanks sitting in the center of town. At the time at the crossroads, it was like a show of force. What people don't realize is that those tanks weren't running anymore, and they just drug them there as a show of force. So,
jeez,
it's an interesting thing when you hear the other side of it, because it was a mad rush once that war started. Like, oh crap, we're turning glass. We're turning these motors into glass.
No doubt, that's insane. Going back to your 40 millimeter full auto grenade launchers, I got to spend time at Red Jacket Firearms back in the day.
Oh.
Remember that TV show,
Yep,
Sons of Guns? Yep. And that was the project they were working on when I was there. filming for some other stuff. And I still love those guys, Atlas Defense. They're awesome. But yeah, that was a cool experience just to see that stuff getting made and to see what they were going through trying to get it working.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I mean, I used to love that show. I know there was some controversy there.
Yeah, that guy's in jail and he will be for a long time.
Yeah.
The rest of the dudes that are left, they're amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of them go on to do other things, and it's they were really doing a lot of innovative stuff, and I'm glad that was able to continue somewhere else. Yeah, Armaments of N-Axis, son of pedophile guns. Yep, we went there. So, he also says he did not know that they switched engines in the M1 Abrams. Yeah, they went from a turbine engine to a turbo diesel shortly into the war. It was a huge rush. General Dynamics, OTS, Ordnance and Tactical Systems, ended up getting that contract, and it was just a crazy mad rush because all these tanks and everything that they had out there they had to retrofit them mostly in the field. So they needed to be able to switch the engine out and put a new hydraulic system in it because of the bigger size of the diesel engines. So it was a unique project. They still haven't learned their lesson. If you're curious, those hydraulic tanks are made out of 6061 T6 511 aluminum. They still like to make shit that gets beat on with artillery out of aluminum. So
crazy.
But anyways, yeah. So Mark Spivey says choke, cough, cough, rip. Yep, that's pretty much how the turbine engines function in sand. So, I guess getting back a little bit to kind of what you do with We Like Shooting and the podcast, what keeps you guys going week to week? I know it's definitely difficult sometimes to come up with topics, and how do you keep going forward with, just the guns. Like it almost seems like a topic that you could run out of things to talk about sometimes, but at the same time, like, you guys never run dry. It's always an interesting conversation when I'm catching it, and I know other people kind of get dry on it sometimes, but you guys don't seem to.
When we first started, I was like, well, how long can we talk about this? And it was a big, huge concern I had. And I was like, I got to keep this going. I got to work my butt off coming up with stuff to talk about and changing things and doing all kinds of, I don't know, just all kinds of other stuff. And always trying to figure out like how to keep it interesting, and being naive and not realizing that it was just kind of interesting, like, already. So when we launched our second show, I was like, how are we going to figure out what to talk about? And then I just realized at one point that we could sit down in a restaurant, and we often do, all of us together when we travel. Well, before COVID shut down the country, we would travel, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 times a year, all of us in the same place. And we would sit down at a restaurant and we would crack jokes and talk about just like stuff and tease the waitresses and just do everything. And it was one of those times, and we were sitting at a restaurant in Georgia near Hartsfield Jackson Airport. And it's a place that we always go. I can't remember the name of it now, but Jeremy eats 2 chicken sandwiches every single time we go. And we were sitting there and we were laughing, and we had the waitresses laughing, and we were not talking about anything. As we were like the Seinfeld of that restaurant. It was just like a table about nothing, but we had the interest of everybody in the whole restaurant. And that was about the point that I realized, like, it doesn't matter what we talk about. There's always going to be new guns coming out. There's always going to be crazy laws and things that we can ponder. But the fact that we can sit at a table eat with Jeremy eating 2 chicken sandwiches and finishing mine and Aaron's plate as well when we were done, that it didn't really matter, that we had just found this group of guys that even after 8 years, we still have so much fun hanging out together. And that was really the time when I was like, you know what, I'm just going to let things be organic. I'm just going to, we've got a little bit of structure, but it was, I remember very, very vividly sitting there and being like, this is what our podcast is all about. This is why people care about our podcast. And, it was that time that I just quit worrying. And this was years ago. I just stopped worrying. I knew at that moment that we would never run out of stuff to talk about. And as long as we all keep liking each other, that we would be just fine.
Awesome. So, Armaments and Axis is COVID, false flag. How many people got the flu lately? It's all COVID now. So yeah, we're paying attention. I know people who've gotten COVID. I know people who've gotten the flu, but it really does. It's really an interesting question. It's like, can somebody literally get the sniffles nowadays and it not be fucking COVID? But
Yeah.
you know,
But if they die from it, it's definitely COVID.
right. You know, I know it's absolutely insane, but um, it's not going away. It's going to be here for a while. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take for people to stop being so afraid of it now that the media is going to want to back off of it. So, um, it's going to be what it's going to be. I covered this a couple weeks ago. It literally kills less than 1% of McDonald's. So McDonald's kills 99% more people every year than COVID does so far. So um, it, it's just what they want to talk about. It's a narrative. It's how they push it. It's how they make people scared. So I don't even want to go too deep into it because everybody has their opinions on it. Everybody knows about it, and it's just one of those things where it's like you're either into it or you're not. And I know most people that are watching probably couldn't care less about it, but um, it exists. It's going to be here forever. It's like SARS in China. It still exists. 18 years on, people still get it. It's just now that it's been around for 18 years, people know how to fight it. People know how to get around it, and it's not killing as many people because the people who are getting it are getting, they're coming into contact with it in a year, and their body still knows how to fight it. So, um, SARS-CoV-2, which is COVID-19, is going to pretty much be the exact same. They're genetically almost identical. Um, whether people want to talk about it or not, you're going to start seeing peer-reviewed studies come out with actual data and real information soon, I'm sure, just because, it's not the election infection anymore. So, um,
I don't think that we will. I don't think that we're ever going to see that because too many people have invested heavily in COVID fear. It's a means of control at this point.
yeah,
And look, I'm not a COVID denier. Like COVID exists. I know
right.
people that have it right this second. I know people that have almost died from it. Like it exists. It's a thing. Like it exists. Just like heart disease exists, like you mentioned, McDonald's. Just like the flu exists and people die from the flu every year in great numbers, except for in 2020. Um, like
Yeah.
it, it exists. It's a thing. But now so many people have invested so heavily in the whole pandemic mentality and the control gained by lockdowns and things like that. Like it's not, we're never going to hear that it didn't work unless we see a radical shift in the mainstream media. But let's talk about like how would we hear about that? We would hear about it on mainstream media. We would hear about it on social media. But guess what? Those channels are now shut. I mean, mainstream media is the enemy of all citizens, and now we're having Facebook. Someone posted a picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware. One of our listeners I saw on Instagram right before the show, and he's caught a 30-day ban on Facebook for posting that picture. No commentary, just Washington crossing the Delaware.
Ugh.
So with Facebook, with Instagram, with Twitter, all controlling that narrative, with mainstream media only pushing their narrative, like how would we ever hear about this? And all of them are so heavily invested in not just that, but the politicians who seek to push that forward, that we're never going to hear about it. Like we read about Watergate, we hear about Watergate and all the craziness that went on back in the day. Now, like that is over for this country. We will never hear those dirty secrets ever again because uh, all all the messaging is so tightly controlled that we will never get there again.
I don't know. I think we will, but I think it's going to be a shift. There's a paradigm shift happening right now. I mean, if you look at the numbers, I think just like with everything that was going on Wednesday, look at regular media, what they were showing on Fox News, what they were showing on CNN, all that stuff. You were getting 20, 30,000 viewers. But then you got guys like Donut Operator. He had 68,000 people, I think, at one point in his stream while he's just scrolling social media and trying to get videos from people that were actually there on the scene, getting stuff, and he was having fun with it. But um, he literally put out a better report probably in the 6, I think, hours that he was live than any other news industry that was out there. So maybe we're not getting it from mainstream media, but mainstream media necessarily isn't the media stream anymore. They're not the news outlet. It's coming from secondary people. It's coming from the salty crackers, the donut operators. It's coming from you know even the Victory Network. They're not exactly unbiased, but they don't claim to be either, which is also a good thing. They don't claim to be unbiased like some of these mainstream media outlets. So you know what you're getting when you watch them. You're gonna get one-sided commentary. So then you got to go to the other places to go, get other sides. I think people lack that nowadays. They're not going out and listening to both sides of the commentary. and making your own inferences. Because unfortunately, today nobody's telling the truth. You have to figure out what the truth is based off of your interpretation, your eyes, what you've actually seen, um, and everything else. So
I agree with you, but unfortunately, the message doesn't matter when the platform is restricted and controlled. And how long before Twitch no longer allows Donut Operator
right.
or wherever he was,
Well,
or
but the thing
YouTube?
is, I
Like,
think there's going to be other places, and I think a lot of these guys are pulling enough numbers that they can go to them. I'm not a huge fan of D Live. I think it's the fucking back of the bus of streaming services, but I'm going to give them a lot of credit. They haven't pulled anybody. They haven't tried to get in anybody's way. Um, they basically said, just look, age restrict your stuff, and we're fine. And they, if you're age restricted, they don't put you on the front page. So what? If people are coming to look for you, they're gonna find you. So I've watched a lot of people on D Live. Like I said, I think it's the back of the bus. It's definitely not. It's very infantile. It's all stickers and trolls and emojis, and it's hard to get through if you're trying to pay attention to a chat like we have here. But the fact of the matter is it's available. There's BitChute. There's other places. Um, and the nice thing is, at least for right now, these bigger places have a platform, and they have people who are going to go looking for them if they get pulled from a platform. So
maybe, but I also truly, maybe I'm just a pessimist at this point, but I think that people are lazy as hell. And I think that Parler, well, while I despise Parler, like I think it's kind of a crappy platform. It's super immature and doesn't work great. And I kind of hate the UI, the user interface of it. However, I think that once Google and Apple pull these from their app stores, like, yes, you will have probably 100,000 people that will turn on dev mode on their Android phone and tap the device ID 10 times so they can sideload an APK from a non-verified source onto their phone. Like that will happen a little bit, but that will not happen mainstream. Like my mom is not going to do that. I
right,
think a lot of people are just lazy and they're not going to do those things. And that once these big platforms no longer allow any kind of I don't know, Second Amendment advocacy or really just talk of freedom, like, yeah, then we're stuck with that. I've never even heard of D Live. And I try to stay abreast of most things, like, yeah, BitChute, MeWe, Rumble, like all these things exist, but not in the numbers necessary to make a difference.
right.
Like we'll all sit in our own echo chamber and talk about it. But I really truly think that people are just too lazy and they want to be fed like baby birds, just chewed up and regurgitated into their mouths.
Right. No, and I don't disagree with that. I mean, we're in a society where people can't look past the headline. So, um, I think that's half the problem with most stuff. I've even argued the fact that all these places like CNN and Fox News and stuff like that, when they put out an article, their articles actually aren't that bad, but you got to look past the headline. So the headline says one thing, the article says something completely different. It's cannon fodder because they know people don't read past the headline. And you can literally put a headline, whatever you want in it, because that's actually not the journalist part. The part
Yeah.
is the article, but people don't read past the headline because they just don't have time. You're being fed 36,000 things every 30 seconds when you're online. So why would you read past the headline?
Yeah. I'll say a couple things about this. Is I'm currently banned on Facebook because I told one of my friends to shut up, ho, and that was apparently hate speech. So 30 days on Facebook, and I was actually really thankful. Excuse me. So I don't have Facebook or Instagram installed on my phone anymore because I was just fed up with it. Like I wanted to see how it went, and I thought that I would be totally addicted and miss it, but I don't miss it. And then when yesterday happened and I couldn't, spew hatred at people that were stupid and didn't agree with me, I was like, man, I'm glad I'm not allowed to post on Facebook today or comment on Facebook or like anything because I would totally be kicked off Facebook for good. But then last night about midnight, I was wrapping up for the day and I was thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, definitely wanted to respond to some of those people, but the fact that I couldn't and the fact that I just closed Facebook on my computer, it was kind of nice. And I'm going to keep doing more of that. Like I'm going to keep doing more of living in the moment and not letting people try to force feed me like a baby bird. And it's kind of great. And maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we need to get away from social media as a society, get away from the 24-hour news
Yep.
cycle.
Yep.
Because I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the news. I don't care about the news. And I'm happier for it. My life hasn't changed at all, even though apparently the country's going to absolute hell. Uh, but my life hasn't really changed at all, and it's glorious. And I try to pay as little attention to those things as possible.
Yep. So Burnaby Sanchez says, "Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream." I think this is first post. I don't think you're saying goodbye. But David Webb says, "Fixing to delete Facebook. Armaments and Access says, I have Facebook, Twitter, and IG and never go there anymore." If it wasn't for the fact that I run a business and literally up until Wednesday night, my Instagram was my biggest platform, I probably wouldn't go there either. Coda Boy brought a shit ton of people to my stream, boosted me up to like 800 subs in like 24 hours. I'm absolutely like insanely thankful for that. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, well, okay, so it's still my biggest platform of engagement now is I got to figure that out. But
Yeah.
either way, I'm not changing any of the content on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is going to stay the same. It is what it is. So hopefully people who joined like it. If not, well, sorry, you came, you clicked the subscribe button. I appreciate it. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll still use my Instagram just because it is my biggest platform as far as business is concerned. It does drive a lot of business. People do click, they buy. It's an easy platform to get along with, so long as you're not, posting shit, which obviously isn't necessarily shit. It just gets you banned. I've done it. I have no advertising capabilities on Facebook, Instagram, Google, and literally that happened like 24 hours after I put my business. So,
oh man, ridiculous. Someone asked about our OnlyFans. It's still there. I don't know that we have any subscribers to it because apparently.
Do you show your toes?
Oh, what's that?
Do you show your toes?
Our buttholes.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So I started an OnlyFans as a joke. And holy shit, by the way, starting an OnlyFans is just about as hard as like getting a driver's license. It was really, really tough. But the first thing Jeremy, one of my co-hosts on We Like Shooting, said was, "Okay, can I jerk off on it?" I was like, "No, man. No, you cannot." Because if I see that, I will literally delete
nuke the shit.
Yeah, I will literally go live in a forest and become a hermit.
Yeah. Mark Spivey says, "Just don't get sucked into the BS." Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I don't go on Facebook anymore. For the most part, my Facebook is there for my family and to get updates from my family. Because unfortunately, I've talked about it before. Society has gone to shit, and the only way you find out about anything is through Facebook. So I actually learned of my uncle's passing through Facebook, which pisses me off. But at least I found out about it. So, it's disgusting, but society is what it is now, and it is literally, if it's not online, it doesn't exist, right? So
True that.
At least we've moved on from the whole, I'm at my car, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm at the grocery store, I'm in the salad aisle, but I'm really going to buy ice cream.
I appreciate those posts because it gives me an easy way to unfriend people.
Yeah, that was for anybody who knows, that's old school Facebook. That's like when it first fucking started.
Yep.
That was when people were just kind of coming over from MySpace. So
yeah, I was probably guilty of that as well, but I did it ironically, and that's the difference.
Operator Tony says, "At Boog Brand, now look at what I'm eating. I'm guessing you're eating ice cream. You're telling everybody it's salad, but it's ice cream." So I know from my perspective, one of the things that I like to talk about a little bit, that I want to get into more during these live streams because it kind of breaks up the monotony a little bit, is kind of dating yourself. So I'm an older person, as far as a lot of streamers are concerned. I know you're right up there with me. My first cell phone was a Qualcomm like A2600 or something like that, this brick that you threw up on your head. But from your childhood, like if you could bring one thing back from your childhood, what do you think, what would you bring back to today?
Hair metal.
Doesn't that still exist, sort of?
Not in the way that it did. When Nirvana killed hair metal, I want to go to like before that with the days of Motley Crue, Shout Out the Devil.
Nirvana killed hair metal?
Without question.
All right, so I got to hear your theory on Nirvana killing hair metal.
Well, Skid Row was top on the charts, and then Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit came out, and people really gravitated towards that, and like the little bit of anarchy that they could feel with that. And within a year, what you were seeing was more plaid shirts and grunge and things like that. And I mean, hair metal still existed, but it was really the turn of hair metal kind of ruling MTV and everything else that existed at that point,
Okay.
and going the way of Nirvana and Pearl Jam and really the Seattle grunge thing that took over music and
I can
popular
see
music.
that, but I actually blame Pearl Jam for it.
But Pearl Jam wouldn't have been a thing without Nirvana paving that path.
I don't know. I guess maybe it depends on locale. You know, where you're located.
Mm.
It in the Midwest, honestly, Pearl Jam kind of took off before Nirvana did. And maybe it's just like that location and where they are and that style of music. Um but yeah, I mean Pearl Jam was kind of like that was the start, and Nirvana kind of came right thereafter in the
If you
Midwest.
actually look at the charts and MTV, you'll see that "Smells Like Teen Spirit" was the driver of all that grunge movement.
I guess it could be. I don't pay attention to the charts all that much. I was never really good at that. I got into some stupid music. I am like all over the board when it comes to music. Like, um, I don't know. Like, this is crazy to me, but like people don't even probably even remember Eddie and the Cruisers.
I do.
But I'm like I was listening to Eddie and the Cruisers and Meatloaf at the same fucking time.
Nice.
Like this is like I was all over the place. Aerosmith, Pump, Guns N' Roses. That was where it was at, and I. But then at the same time, I was listening to the Frank Zappa. I was listening. I was all over the fucking place. So
I
I'm
was
not
like,
a good person for that.
I was like all hair metal all the time back then. I hated grunge with a fiery passion. Still do. God, I despise it.
I
Um,
so I can stand grunge. I can handle some grunge. I cannot handle ska. Like I would rather drag myself behind my Jeep than listen to ska music for 5 fucking seconds.
I don't hate ska, so the only stuff I really hate is grunge, and pretty much country. But like I love so many other things. Like today, I pretty much listened to Wardruna, which is like Viking chant war music, pretty
Well,
much
that's all
right all
right.
day.
I listen to the Who, like Mongolian metal. Like that's
Oh yeah, yeah. So I have kind of liked them all the time, but now they've gotten so popular that they play their songs so much that I no longer really want to listen to them.
Oh, see, I don't like listen to radio or Sirius or anything like that, so I kind of just make my own playlist. So
Me
which
too.
which is great because it's like uh you get to pick and choose what you want, and I'm like I said, I'm literally all over the board. I'm listening to rap one day, I'm listening to metal the next day, I'm listening to country rap another day, I'm listening to it's if there's a lot of people who if they saw my discography, they would absolutely just be like, "What is wrong with you?"
What's wrong with your head, man? Yeah, no, I generally just YouTube music and then give it a seed song and then just let it kind of take me wherever it goes, which is usually just Viking war music. I don't know what that means.
I think we all know what Viking war music means. So,
I
um,
love it.
yeah, Catholic fundamentalist. I'm guessing you're talking about country rap because it's called crap. Yeah, yeah, I've heard
Hey,
that. It's not even that's not new, man. Come on, gotta come up with something new, something fun.
right?
So, yeah, Operator Tony says for me, anything that came out 2002 to now is garbage. Most things prior are good. Um, I I don't disagree with that 100%, but I do at some point too because I think there's still creativity out there. I just think it's coming more from independent artists. It's coming from people who aren't signed to major labels. Um, but that's a whole other topic. Like,
Yeah,
labels just kind of recycle, regurgitate, and spit it out. It's kind of the same thing the movie industry's done. Um, Nothing creative has come out since everybody went to rehab. So
yeah. Early 90s, I moved to like progressive metal and stuff like that. And my probably one of my favorite bands of all time is Dream Theater. And I played music for a very long time, toured the country playing music. It was a blast. But I got to open for Dream Theater which was like a pinnacle of existence for me. And it was just awesome. But yeah, like I love music. I don't like live music just because I lived in that world for so long, but I just love music and listening. Literally in the office or the workshop right next to the studio here, I've got an electric drum set. I still play pretty regularly. Yeah, I love music. I love fun music.
Yeah, I think music is the great unifier, because you don't necessarily have to understand everything, and you can listen to music and understand, people and what they're about. Um, Sieg Gillespie 2002. I know Tom McDonald very well. I actually don't like a lot of his hooks, but I like a lot of his messages. So um, that's the other thing too. I think music can be a good way to convey a message to a lot of people. Um, and there are artists that are out there today that are really pushing these controversial messages that need to be heard by a lot of people, and sometimes music is the medium that can bring those people together and actually send that out. So I can respect that. James Allen says, love me some Dream Theater. Petrucci is the greatest. So
Yeah, he's their guitar player,
yeah.
but I got to say Portnoy is the best. And I actually took lessons from Mangini back in the early 90s, which no one is going to know what I'm talking about except for James A.
Yeah, Armaments and Axis says at We Like Shooting, holy shit. Did not know you are a musician. Holy shit, Dream Theater, awesome. So
I
Catholic
mean, I've lived
yep,
sorry,
go ahead.
I've lived a bunch of lives, man. I was a rock star for a long time, software engineer for a long time, like I don't know, like vests and long sleeve shirts and then now like gun guy. Like I feel like it's been this crazy adventure, and it's still the most fun I can possibly imagine.
So I feel like there's a way that we can kind of tie everybody together, because there's like this huge gun community that's actually musicians. Um, so I know personally, like there, uh, everybody knows Jim Fuller, right? So I don't know him personally, but everybody knows of him, especially in the gun community. If you don't, you're under a fucking rock. But his guns, guitars, and freedom. Like for some reason, musicians and guns go together like cookies and milk. That's
It's
what I'm
true.
finding. It's like everybody is into music. Me, I couldn't carry a fucking note to save my ass. Like I learned one song on a guitar so that way I could try to get some lay, but it didn't work because apparently you still have to be good looking for that. So
Well,
uh,
I just became a podcast rock star,
right, yeah.
and
But
my
you're the
girlfriend's like,
podcast pimp.
yeah, my girlfriend's like stunningly beautiful. So I don't know because I'm like a fucking disaster.
It's because you're famous, right?
No, I am not. I'm literally a dude who goes to sleep every night, gets up and goes to work for like 18, 19 hours, and then just does it 7 days a week forever. Like
Yeah, you are
I
dedicated. Like so, you are extremely dedicated to what you do, and I appreciate that. So, um, that's one thing. Like you said, going to work for 18, 19 hours a day. Like I'm a fucking tourist compared to you guys, because I'm like I set this shit up, and I'm like okay, I gotta do this. I'm like I got the graphic design stuff down. I'm like I gotta do the overlay. I get that done. I gotta do the thumbnail. I get that done. I gotta do this. I gotta get that. I'm like I'm a fucking tourist. I'm like I'm doing this 5-6 hours a week. For a 3 hour show on top of the 3 hours if we're here for that long, and hopefully we're not there that long because I fucking run out of things to say.
well, don't worry, I never run out of things to say. So we'll stay here all night. How about we skip sleeping and we stay here till
Oh,
tomorrow?
so you also have small children?
No, my kids are actually all grown.
Yeah, I have a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old who's currently cutting 4 teeth. I haven't seen my pillow for like 4 days. So
I mean, I can kind of relate. We have a puppy, and that's basically the same.
I actually argue puppies are worse. So I feel for you.
Yeah, actually, the first couple of weeks were pretty bad, but she literally is the smartest dog I've ever had in my entire life. So she kind of just figured it out real quick.
You're lucky now. Hopefully, it stays that way.
I
I have
know,
a
I know.
German short-haired pointer who's the smartest dog I've ever had in my life. He's also the biggest pain in the ass, and we've actually had professional dog trainers give us our money back and say,
Oh
"I
God.
can't help you. I'm sorry." And then now 5-6 years later, he's 10 years old now. Finally, he's become an okay dog to where I can say honestly, like I don't mind him living in my house.
That's that holy shit, a decade for that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I have the patience of a saint. Um,
You must. I
but
do not.
he is
I have
honestly the first dog I ever had that actually jumped onto my refrigerator. So
what the fuck?
if you've ever seen a German short-haired pointer jump, you would understand it. So, um, they
They're
are
they're amazing dogs.
they're amazing dogs. They are lightning bolts, just little balls of energy. Um, and if you don't give them a job to do, they will rule your world. And sometimes, if you give them a job to do, they still do it. So
Yeah.
we were told, oh, you just got to get them tired.
Yeah.
The best thing I can actually say is, we used to run him ragged, and all it did was increase his stamina. So
You were like training him to be an asshole.
yeah, so now that we just stopped doing anything with him, he's become good. So
That's amazing.
just make him fat and lazy, you know.
Yeah. I we got on this track just talking about working, but like my job doesn't feel like work. So like just today. So I got up early, took a shower. My girlfriend came to work when I was in the shower because she actually works here too. She's a professional leather worker and she does like just amazing all kinds of stuff. And so then I got the puppy and came into work and got to work and honestly like just started working on some projects. Like I just got a brand new Dylan 750 XL. I've been reloading for a long time, but finally just decided, hey, you know what? I've always wanted this. I'm just gonna get it. And so I did. So I set that up. I took a rifle that was in 224 Valkyrie. I just got a brand new 6 millimeter arc upper from Brownells. And I put that together, put the optic on it, put a new stock on it, and just got that ready. Then I messed around with the reloading press a little bit more, got back on the computer, responded to a bunch of emails, worked on some contracts. And then when I got bored of doing that, I went and started working on another one of the rifles that we need for an upcoming review. So like all this stuff, like this doesn't feel like work. This feels like everything that I love doing so much. So when I'm here, from 7 in the morning until, 10 or 11 at night, like it doesn't feel like I'm working because I can just stand up and do something else when I want to. And it's nice. And I did what you did for a very long time. Like I had a full-time job, Fortune 50 IT company, HP. I don't know why I was trying to be coy about it. Worked for HP for 13 years.
So I can blame
And
you. Perfect.
what's that?
I can
Oh
blame
yeah.
you.
It was ridiculous. I had my own web development company for close on a decade that was bringing in tons of money. And then I was doing We Like Shooting like as a hobby, basically almost, just trying to find time for it when I could, doing the podcast at least once a week. And then, I gave up my web development business to further We Like Shooting because I just literally ran out of time in the day. And then the IT company, when they asked for people to lay off, I was the leader of the team. Uh, I refused to give them the names of my friends. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give you one name, and that's my name. And you can figure out the rest on your own. Fuck off. And so, like, doing what I do, like, I make way less money than I used to. And I don't care because it doesn't ever feel like work. I never come to this office. We've got a big, huge suite in an office building. And I never come here and feel like this is terrible. I always come here and I'm like, man, what do I get to work on today? The other day was a full auto Glock. Like, it's amazing. And it never feels terrible.
Right. That's awesome. So with that said, so what would, what keeps you driving? So if you've basically, if you what I'm kind of getting is like you feel as though you've kind of reached a goal point where you're like, I'm here. I love doing this. This is where it is. So, um, going forward, what are your goals going forward? Because I know you've got so many things going on. You're doing so much stuff. Um, is there anything like surprising that you're working on going forward, or something that you just want to do in the next couple of years that is really driving you forward with a certain direction?
That's a really good question. So I used to pay so much attention to our numbers and things like that. And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, the numbers are just like growing and it kind of freaks me out. So I stopped looking at them. I haven't looked at our downloads in years, actually. Um, but our goals. So I also own the Firearms Radio Network. We're about to add or reboot 6 shows on the network, and I've been working really hard on that to just kind of get that all set up so I can get those new shows on the network. Some really big names in the firearms content I don't know, world that I'm bringing to the network. Pretty proud of that. And so making the Firearms Radio Network amazing is always a goal of mine. We're about to announce a network wide advertiser, a company that we decided to work with, that I think is a good community member and a great company making great products. So I think that's important. Bringing 6 new shows to the network, and I'm working on a 7th and an 8th, just not there. I do tons of podcasts on the network. I do the civilian medical podcast with Skinny Medic every week. I do This Week in Guns with the Matt LaRosiere from the Firearms Policy Coalition, formerly of the Cato Institute, just an amazing guy. I do 2 episodes of We Like Shooting. I want to increase the Firearms Radio Network. I want We Like Shooting to continue to grow, which it does, which I have no idea why that's even the case. I also got interested in medical a long time ago and did tons and tons of training, and eventually started teaching classes that I call civilian medical. And I traveled the country and teach those classes. And I'm constantly working to improve my course, and just to make it better and cooler and more fun. And like I'm going to continue doing what I do. I'm going to see where things go. Like I have a blast doing everything that I do. I don't focus so much these days on like strategic planning or anything, but I'm always paying attention to what's going on around me. And mostly I'm just going to continue adventuring because I am an adventurer, and a life of adventure is the best life that I can possibly imagine. And like I mentioned earlier, I was like, I make way less money these days than I used to, but man, my adventure levels are off the charts,
Right.
and I'm going to keep doing that because that's what's important.
So I'm actually really impressed because like this is maybe I'm just completely fucking ignorant. Maybe I haven't known as much as I thought I did, or maybe I haven't seen as much. I had no idea you were like the owner now of Firearms Radio Network.
Yeah, about 3 years ago, Jake approached me and he's like, "I'm done with this, man. Would you like to buy it?" And my response was the same as when Savage said we should do a podcast. Like, hell no, I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do anything with it. I'm not interested at all. And he said, "LOL, okay." And then I thought about it and I was like, man, what if he sells it to somebody and they come in here and they try to make us all corporate? I'm like, We Like Shooting, we'll just leave. Like, I don't have a contract. I refuse to ever sign a contract.
Right.
I was like, we'll just leave, and we won't even suffer like the slightest hiccup because of it. But I was like, you know what? What if you bring somebody in and like he screws over all these other people that I've grown to love and have relationships with over the years? Like, what if something happens with that? And Jake would never do that knowingly, but like, what if somebody comes in and they're like, oh, hey, you know what? This is a great way to make money, but they weren't about the content and the Second Amendment and freedom and America. So of course, overnight I slept on it and I hit him up first thing next morning. I was like, fine, whatever,
No,
I'll
that's
do it.
incredible. So even before you owned the business, basically you had the business mind and protecting the employees, the people that are working for it, and the people that are doing that thing. That's awesome. Um,
Yeah,
there's not a lot of people who think that way,
it's
and I
kind of
give you a lot of credit for that.
dude, it's how we've done everything. And I'm not trying to pump myself up right now. Like I am not a great person. I'm not anything. I'm just a dude living his life. But when I know that I can make a difference, like I feel obligated to make a difference. And maybe I've made a difference in a bad way. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to win any popularity contests. I'm not trying to do anything like that. I'm just trying to honestly, I'm just trying to live a great life and to help other people live theirs.
No, I mean it's incredible, and I'm like, you don't have to say you're pumping yourself because I'm like, I'm kind of pumping it too. I'm like, I've dealt with a lot of different types of people in my day and in the business that I do. There's not a lot of people who think like that. I literally work for a company right now who we have two or three different divisions. I'll just leave it at that. And one division is basically almost completely done. The person who runs it is ready to retire. He's been ready to retire for 6, 7 years, but refuses to do it because if he retires, he knows that the rest of his business, the rest of the people on that division kind of just fall to the wayside and they go away. So he's just refusing to do it because it's a matter of keeping that side running. Um, Unfortunately, and I don't care who sees it, everybody knows it. The reason that it's going to fail if he decides to retire is because he's refused to adapt and give any delegation to anybody else. But at the same time, he
Yes.
knows that. So I think he's working on it. I think he's working to fix that. But he knows that any failure in the future is his own fault as well. So I think that's part of why he pushes so hard to keep going. So I think he's pushing on 70-ish years old and doing that. So it's,
Yeah.
he knows it's running its course, and he's got an aging workforce as well. So I think he's just kind of like, let's just all retire at the same fucking time type person at this point.
Right. Yeah. And it's not even like I'm not a control freak. Like I absolutely grant control. So for example, a couple of times that I've done that, this week in guns, it was a show that was very popular, second biggest show on the Firearms Radio Network for many years. When I took over the network, I didn't realize at the time, but that basically meant that I had to take over that show as well. And because there were so many amazing listeners of that show, I did it, even though I didn't want to. That's not a show that I'm into. I hate the news. Like I don't pay any attention to the news, but I did it. And we had an amazing producer named Kenny Ortega, and he found the show notes every week, and he put together the show notes. I would spend a couple hours kind of researching everything, taking notes before the show, and then I would do that. I didn't love the show, um, but I thought that it was important for the people. So Kenny died, unfortunately, and I miss him a lot. And the show went on hiatus for about 8 or 9 months because I didn't like doing the show, and B, Kenny was a driving force behind the show. And the reason I didn't love doing the show is because no matter who we had on as a panelist, it was very much the same echo chamber that we all happen to live in if you're a gun guy. And I don't like that. Like I like new and interesting ideas. I like people who can be critical about things even when they're painful. And I didn't love that. And I thought that, that wasn't a thing. So our friend Othias from CN Arsenal, he actually hit me up a couple months ago and he said, "Hey, Matt, the director of legal policy for the Firearms Policy Coalition, and you should do a show together." And I was like, I don't really want to add any more shows. I'm kind of booked up as it is. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, This Week in Guns needs a new host. And so I hit up Matt, and I was like, hey, man, I will give you the show. I will give you the second biggest show on the Firearms Radio Network. I don't want anything from it. I don't need any. I don't need advertising dollars. I don't want anything. I will give you the show. It is yours if you choose to take it, and you can go do your own thing with it. Like make it amazing. Make it exactly what I know you can make it into. And he was totally into it. And then he asked me to come on as co-host, and I did. And I'm like, but listen, like you call the shots. You are the guy in charge of this thing. I will show up. I will be the dumb guy who asks questions. But I don't want anything for it. Like I literally want this show to succeed and to do what it's meant to do. But I don't want credit. I don't want billing. I don't want anything. I just want it to be amazing. And then that's me in a nutshell. Like I don't want popularity. I don't want anything. I just want things to be the best that they can be. And I know sometimes that means me not being involved in them.
Right.
But yeah, like I truly am not a control freak. I am of the things that I control, but like I want just people to kick ass.
That's fair. I mean, that's awesome, and I get it. A couple people in the chat said Kenny was awesome.
Yep.
Rest in peace, Kenny. That's always a hard thing, especially like what you do when something like that happens, and knowing that and making that decision. Obviously isn't easy either, because it's kind of like you're handing somebody's baby over to somebody else. So I mean, I appreciate that and respect that decision and how you do that and keep it moving forward. Um, Going in Brad E's here. WikiLeaks just dumped their files. Nice.
Dang.
Well, that'll be interesting. So that'll
Yeah,
definitely,
something new to talk about.
yeah, that'll definitely hit some news. I'm probably not going to go into it. Um, Apparently they dumped Clinton emails. Wow. Well,
Pretty
it's definitely,
crazy.
yeah, that's going to be an interesting couple days worth of news, to say the least. So,
Can't wait.
yeah. Um, I'm not a news network. I'm not going to try to cover that. That's definitely not where I go. I that's crazy. So, that should be definitely interesting.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. Good Lord, so much to sift through, I'm sure.
Yeah. And that's just it. Is somebody's gonna have to spend a lot of time going through a lot of stuff. So, um, I don't want to keep you too long. I know we do. I start this at 8:30. We're going on, almost an hour and a half here. Um,
I'm
I
fine.
no, I know, I get it. I let's see if history is uh, backing it up. Charles Sexton, first I want to say thank you for coming. You said it was, I caught it earlier. You said it was your first time here. Rebel Kid from the Discord. Appreciate you stopping by. If history isn't taught, then it will repeat itself, and that's exactly what is happening right now. Is what you're saying. Yeah. It's 100% true. If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. So,
Right. And if you don't know history, go read about Rome and Caesar and Catiline and the failed coup that Caesar learned from when he accomplished his coup, and take a look at right now. It's
yeah.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, there's definitely, I mean, history parallels really well, with everything. It's unfortunately, humans are not as complex as people lead you to believe. We will do the exact same shit over and over and over again, expecting different results, and we all know that's the definition of crazy. So, um,
True. True.
yeah, as far as that's concerned, you know, um, you know,
I've
I
got a
don't even.
question for you.
What was that?
I've got a question for you. Sorry to interrupt
Sure.
you.
No.
What makes you tick, man? Like, you're doing this, you're working hard. I know how fucking hard it is to start a podcast in the gun industry. Like, what makes you tick?
I don't even honestly know. If I had to answer that, I don't know. The main reason I started this was literally just COVID-19 bullshit going on, and I started a business literally a month before COVID shut everything down. And obviously my traditional routes of advertising went to shit. So
Mhm.
I decided, you know what, I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna have a little fun. And honestly, it was like, uh, I listen to people like Tundra Tactical. I listen to people, like the Keep Calm and Carries from Fit and Fire, the We Like Shooting podcast, stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I was like, um, screw it. I enjoy having conversations, and I'm not afraid for rejection. So I'm gonna start a podcast, and I'm just gonna ask a bunch of fucking people who don't even know who the hell I am if they'd be willing to come on a show and just sit down and talk and have some fun. And uh, I this is now my 24th episode. So I've been doing it now for about 24 weeks, give or take a little bit. And it was just a matter of, it was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm not gonna fucking do it halfway. I'm gonna continue to improve. I'm gonna continue to do things better each week. And today is far and above where we were 24 weeks ago. you know, there's definitely a higher quality, a higher everything as far as it goes. Just because, obviously, just as you do it, you get better. You learn what works, you learn what doesn't work, and at the end of the day, it's just trying to find your voice now. So it's, I'm not afraid to talk to people. I'm not afraid to be in front of a camera. Never have been. I've never been afraid to just talk to people. So I'm like, you know what? I have that in me, so I'm just gonna do it. And I've done a lot of different things, um, in my life to get where I am, and I'm not gonna change that. So
24 episodes is 6 months of episodes. What would you say is one of the most valuable things you've learned in that journey?
don't care what anybody thinks.
Oh man, so true.
I've listened to, um, a lot of people talk crap or this or that, and honestly, it's like, I know that I haven't put out 100%, quality episodes, and I have had a lot of people who come in, and they've been returning people all the time. I've had a lot of help along the way, as far as, you know, I never played to an empty crowd, basically. which is huge. And I know a lot of people go through that. And when you start something like this, the biggest advice I can give anybody is use the people around you to help you. Because if I was playing to an empty crowd, maybe it would have been a little bit different. But um, people like Operator Tony, Chambered Defense, this and that, a couple other people that have been here the whole time, Dr. Cat Milk, um, they came from Tundra Nation. I kind of put it out there as a thing, like, hey, I'm gonna start doing this. If you guys want to try this, and Tufu was my first guest, kind of my guinea pig in the whole thing, and I had been talking to him about doing it for a while. And I did it, and I finally started, and if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be where I am. But at the same time, like I know that I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, but if I'm not gonna do it half-assed. So I mean, we started off in another portion of my house where I didn't really have an office or anything like that, and now I've built this office, which is also a studio, which is also whatever. But you can do it on a budget too. So,
Yeah.
I'm working off a camera that was given to me for free because it was broken. A little bit of solder, a little bit of work. It's working out, and it's a decent camera now. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah. I mean, dude, like where I sit right now is a pretty expensive audio studio, but we started out with nothing. We started out with nothing. We started out with a love of guns and freedom and the Second Amendment. What, like, holy shit, I'm sorry to like take over here, but I am very curious about this stuff for you. Like when I go on a show, I have a policy of doing zero research going into it because I want it to be a surprise, because I think that's more genuine and honest for both of us. But like, why is this important to you? Why is it guns? Is it 2A? Is it all of the above? Like, what is the real important thing for you here?
To be completely honest, like it was never about guns. It was never about 2A. It was just kind of the community that I've always fit in with and had fun with. Now, like since you haven't done the research, one interesting thing that you probably don't know that's definitely an interesting backstory is up until January of last year, I was a felon. So 14 years of my life prior to that, I was a felon because I was young, dumb, and I suffered consequences of that. So I received a pardon from our governor here in the state after a lot of time of trying to come up with another way of doing it. And it's definitely been interesting. It's an interesting route that I took to get to where I am. But I've always been a part of like the Patriot movement, this and that. I actually, not even afraid to say it. I mean, I webmaster 3percenters.org. I've managed these forums for years. Internet community and patriotism in America is what it's about for me. For as far as like the podcast, like this was all just literally conversation. What keeps me going, what keeps me having fun and doing it is the people that keep showing up. Like I have an obligation, number one, to myself, number two, to the people who keep coming and keep showing up. And to me, I appreciate the people who show up more than anything. And that's what drives me to continue going out and asking people to come on the show. So I try to schedule myself out a month in advance, not because I want to be super prepared, but because if I'm scheduled a month in advance, I don't have an opportunity to quit. I have to keep going. So there's no point where I can say, well, I guess I'm just going to stop, because now I'm obligated. I'm obligated for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And I've always got 3, 4 people in the lineup where I'm like, all right, they're going to say they want to do it this time. No, I'm going to have to do it. So
yeah, man, having people rely on you is a super huge way. What, like what, man, that holy shit. Yeah. Just come on We Like Shooting soon and we'll talk about all this, 'cause I'm very interested in restoration of rights.
it's an interesting path. There's a lot of ways you can go about it. Everybody's different. One thing I'll definitely say is learn your laws, learn the precedent in your local area. Because I would have spent a hell of a lot more money trying to get my rights back if it wasn't for the fact that I did the work up front. When I've gone to lawyers in the past, I took them, this is what I want you to do. I'm literally only using you for your relationship with the district attorney, just so we're upfront and honest about it. So
yeah. No, that's killer, man. I don't even want to rehash it here because I want to have you on the show and talk about that, because holy crap, that's really interesting. to me. So now you're allowed to have guns and
Yep.
full restoration of rights.
As of January of last year, and of course I went out and tested it right away. Bought a gun probably a month later. No issues buying it. Received my concealed carry permit like a month later. You know, so I've been good, and now I mean I'm here. I am. I've got a regular rifle. I've got a shotgun. I've got an AR. I've got a pistol. The AR, I have to say, is compliments of the Tundra Nation, and kind of a congratulations as far as getting my gun rights back, and to them, you know, the people that are here in the chat. Operator Tony, he submitted to that. It's greatly appreciated. You know, I'm going to continue to add to it and pay it forward the next time somebody comes through and we decide to do something like that again. So it's definitely been an interesting route to get to where I am.
Hell yeah. That's amazing, man. I love that. Love hearing that. What was the first gun you bought?
Canik TP9 SF.
Honestly, a fantastic firearm.
Yeah.
Didn't expect it, expected to hate it, ended up loving it, and I've got several Canics now.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of people who recommended it, and I'm like, you know, at the price point, I'm like, I gotta whatever. And I spent time at the range first, obviously, because I'm like, I want to buy a concealed carry gun. So I went to our local range. I rented a couple pistols, and I'm like, honestly, it's what felt the best in my hand. I like the trigger the most. I like the way it shot. You know, I got some meaty fucking paws. They're these giant fucking meat hooks. You know, it's the only gun that I shot that didn't bite. You know, it was just the angle of grip. Everything felt comfortable, and I'm like, that's it. So. Yeah, my next one will probably be a Sig P365 because I did enjoy that one as well. But I also wanted to save room for extra ammo, extra mags, some range time, all that stuff when I went out and got it at first. And, you know, now I feel a lot better about that. So,
yeah. My everyday carry is actually a Sig P365, but I've got a long slide that kind of doesn't exist in the world, and a red dot on it. And man, I love that gun. Like I've shot that gun on a steel target at 100 yards, first try, no problem. Like it's a fantastic pistol. It really is.
yeah, no, you know, I have not spent enough time at the range, but I've always been, you know, it's really weird to say this, but you know, obviously, you know, shooting is one of those things where if you don't use it, you lose it type of thing. At least I always thought that. There are certain aspects of it that you just don't lose. And, you know, it is like riding a bike. Once you get back out there, it'll take you a little bit to knock some rust off. But, you know, before I lost my rights, I shot trap every week. I was constantly, you know, at the pistol range. I was a rifle hunter. You know, it was literally just getting back out there, knocking a little bit of rust off and going, oh, I remember this, and getting back into it. So, honestly, I was really impressed with the Canik. Now it is the full size frame, so you got the longer barrel, a little bit more accuracy out to range. But you know, within the first 50 rounds, I could hit it out, you know, 50 yards, no problem. And I was like, all right, we're good.
No, that's freaking awesome, man.
But the first time out shooting it, I also put 500 rounds through it because I'm like, I need to knock this rust off.
Right.
Like I can't honestly. For me, I couldn't carry a pistol until I knocked that rust off, and I knew that I was comfortable behind it, and was responsible to know where if I took that shot, if I had to take a shot, it was gonna hit what I was aiming at. So,
yeah, I'll be honest though, like I totally agree with you, and for me, I'm like the exact same way. I do that, but then when you watch all these videos out there of self-defense encounters and things like that, like the people like that, I mean, there's no technique, you're just like, holy shit, that person was so freaking lucky, but somehow they got it done. Like you look at all these and there's never any, you're like, holy shit, that guy was an operator. There's like, holy shit, how did he not like shoot himself in the head at the same time? And like so many people use firearms for self-defense that are terrible at everything. And it just furthers my whole opinion that like there should be no training requirements. There should be no nothing. Cause I mean, a chance is better than death. And you know, I'm 100% like you. Like I want to be as proficient as possible with everything that I do, but I also, I always try to remember that like so many people save their own lives with firearms that I literally would run from the room if they held a gun.
right. And I give like a lot of credit, and like even my wife is 100% anti-gun going into a relationship. She knew I was big into guns beforehand, and I guess marrying a felon, she may have thought she never had to worry about. But she's come along for the ride, and now she's got her own pistol, and I give her a lot of credit. Like, and a lot of people don't give women enough credit in shooting, but I think women are better shooters than men for the most part, and she's proved it for me. Like, she's gone out and she's got a Sig P365, and at 40 yards, she's like, I tell her to hit that, and she's hitting it. Like, I mean, I can't outshoot her, and that's honest. Like, I don't know. I like to say that women don't have that primal instinct of, oh, an explosion is about to go off in front of my face, so they just pull the trigger.
I think it's so much like a lack of ego as well.
That's
Uh,
possibly it too.
yeah, guys, like we don't want to be told what to do. We don't want to be told anything because we have this ego that if we're not like somehow considered an expert by everyone in our general vicinity, that it makes us less of a man. And letting go of that, like that's so freeing, and it allows you to like improve so much. And I think that's one of the reasons that women do so fantastically, because there's no ego. They want to learn this thing that's kind of scary to a lot of people, and get after it. And man, I think that's super amazing. I
Yeah.
totally agree. So tell me about the company you started, Boog Brand.
Yep. So Boog Brand it's literally just a clothing apparel company. It literally, I started it as an opportunity for me to build a graphic design portfolio, basically. Improve my ability to work with photo editing softwares, for creation of different materials, and it kind of just, honestly, it was one of those things where it was, as soon as I started dealing with cancel culture, it was like, I'm gonna make this work out of spite, you little bastards. Like, I run this as a trademark under my LLC. It doesn't really mean that much to me, but god damn it, now I'm gonna fucking make it work because you're trying to cancel me. So that's really where it is now. But it is like that, you know, as far as being canceled and going through all that stuff, I had to overcome and try to come up with another way to advertise and this and that. And that's where I've now, like, my biggest means of advertising is social media. Obviously, like, my Instagram is really nothing. I've got like 500 followers on Instagram. Now I'm like 800 subscribers on YouTube. But I do handle merchandise for for larger people. So I have the ability to make t-shirts. I have the ability to do that stuff. So I'm like, why don't I just reach out to these people who have followings that actually want to buy stuff? And I've listened to like music reaction channels, stuff like that. I'm like, I get into some of that sometimes just because it's interesting to hear other people's perspectives on things and how they interpret stuff. So, that was my first one I reached out to, was a guy I like to listen to on there. He's very conservative, pro 2A, former military. Like, I liked what he was doing, and everybody's asking him to do merchandise, but he's just like, that's too much for me. I don't understand it. I'm like, I can do that for you. Like, let me do that for you. Like, you're making all the profit, and like, my name is just associated with you as advertising. So that's what I did, and that's where I went. Now I have him, who's ex-military criminal, on YouTube, and then Moose.66 on Instagram. Um,
That's cool.
so
That's
I'm
very
just
cool.
like, it's fun for me, and I got to design their stuff too. So it's like, that's even better for me. I'm like, I have a little bit of fun. It's great. So
What would you, so I mean, Boog Brand, Boog is in the name. What does Boog mean to you personally?
it's the meme. So I'm an old school shit poster, old meme lord.
Damn.
Like, and it's fun. At the time that I started the business, it was the biggest meme out there. Is like, are we ready to boog yet? Are we gonna boog yet? Are we gonna boog yet? Like, 90% of people, and I'll say this 100%, 90% of people who say, oh, we're ready to boogaloo, they aren't ready to boogaloo. Like,
No,
they don't
no.
understand what it means to boogaloo. They don't understand what it means to take a life, much less get out there and have a civil war. I mean, if they did, back in June, they had the opportunity. It may not have been the boogaloo you wanted, but it was the boogaloo you fucking got. You didn't do anything about it. So congratulations, shut up.
Right. I mean, to me, like, we take a lot of shit about Boog because I think it's hilarious. And we have capitalized on those memes as well. But to me, like the boog is never, it's, we've gotten accused of being racist and communists and all kinds of other things. But to me, like it's not about any of that stuff. It's about rising up against an oppressive government. Literally the reason that the Second Amendment was created, like rising up against oppressive and infringing government. Like those are the reasons it exists. That's what it is. It's not about color. It's black, white,
Right.
tan, yellow. It's about every single color that there is. It's about every race, every religion, every creed. Like honestly, you take a transgender person, put them on my right, like I'll gladly rise up with them. I'm
Right.
not about any of that nonsense. I'm
Right.
about like the people versus the government, just like it always has been, just like how it should be.
Yeah, no, and that's the truth. Like, I think the biggest thing people have lost is the fact that we are a nation that's a melting pot. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody next to you is doing so long as it doesn't affect you. Like, what do we care? Like, I have my opinions. I don't necessarily agree with everything you're gonna do, and as long as you're not shoving it down my throat, I'm gonna be perfectly fine with it. Um, it's when, to me, the biggest issue I have with like today's culture and the wanting for all this inclusion is inclusion. The way they're saying it actually means acceptance of their behavior and bringing it into your life and accepting it as what it is. Like, I don't have to accept what you do. I don't have to agree with you what you do. I still respect you as a person. I still believe that you are no different than me on the inside. Like, it is what it is. But at the same time, like, I don't have to accept it. I don't have to agree with it. And to me, that's the biggest thing. Like, I have no issues with color. I have no issues with, being gay, transsexual, transgender, whatever you want to be. But at the same time, this whole like, I have an identity and I want to be called he, him, her, whatever. The pronouns make it so impossible to understand, and like, I really do want to be inclusive and I really want to help, like, I really want to make you feel comfortable in everything. But if you make it so it's impossible for me to actually even understand, like, I have a hard time complying with what you want. So I'm not being racist. I'm not being sexist. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
so convoluted.
I know. I'm like, hey, look, I don't care if you want to get an abortion. I don't care if you want to defend your weed and your transgender with an AR-15. Like all those things don't matter to me at all. Like, do you like AR-15s? Cool. Let's high five and let's go have a beer or whiskey or whatever it happens to be. Because I
Right.
really truly don't give a shit about any of that. And I'm with you 100% on that. It's kind of a crazy time to be alive, and like I'll never accept those alternative things as like my canon. Uh, but I don't care. Like I truly don't care.
Right.
Like I literally don't care what the next person does as long as it doesn't mess with me or mine. That's the bottom line.
Right.
Truly, I do have a quick question for you. After you got your rights back and you got a gun and you pulled that trigger for the first time, can you tell me what that was like? Like what emotions you had?
Uh, honestly, I don't even know how to describe it. It was kind of like that's a tough one. That's a really tough question. It was kind of like
Dude, if you cried, I'm fine with that.
no,
I
no.
want to know.
No, I didn't actually cry. And I'll be completely honest, like, I don't cry about anything. Like, unfortunately, I've never been an emotional person. Um but the feeling like actually doing it again and doing it was like I'm home. It was kind of like that comforting feeling, like when you moved away, like right out of high school, and then you come home and your mom's like, sit down, we're having dinner, god damn it, we're gonna have some pie, you're gonna have my homemade mashed potatoes that sit in your stomach like a goddamn brick. you know we're gonna do that. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. It was kind of like that homey feeling, like I felt back.
Yeah,
um
man.
I some people are like, oh, my first time shooting back was like the first time I held my son. No, the first time I held my son, there's no feeling that's ever going to compare to that. There's no feeling that's going to compare to the first time I saw my daughter when she was born. um it wasn't quite there. Like, that to me is on a completely different plane. But definitely a home feeling. Yes, yes, Operator Tony. I just said homie, not homie G.
It's true.
Just
It's
homie.
true. But dude, I mean, like, you fought really hard for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we did, and I say we did because my wife went along for the ride too. So we actually didn't win in the court system. So we spent a lot of money on an attorney to go and do all this stuff and just be turned down. But at the end of the day, um, the pardon process was opened up when Democratic Governor Tony Evers, which I have a thing to be thankful for a Democrat. Tony Evers brought back the pardon process in the state of Wisconsin, which is something that Scott Walker didn't believe in. He didn't believe in second chances, um, even though he had plenty of them. But either way, like I have to thank Tony Evers for that. He brought that back, and the board itself recognized, that I'm not the person I was that one night, December 5th, 2000 whatever 2005 I think it was. So but I moved past that, and really it was a humbling experience to sit in front of this board of people and explain your story and where you've gone and what you've done, and literally just humbling yourself and allowing yourself to be you know basically at the mercy of a court. So um
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
when I went through the court system the first time, I probably didn't have as much respect for it as I should have. um the biggest lesson I learned was, get yourself a lawyer and not a public defender, because especially if you're facing a felony charge,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't give two shits. They're gonna do what they got to do to get you through the system. Um,
Dude.
my plea bargain was to take the felony. In the process, they would drop the Class A misdemeanor and 9 counts of resisting arrest. So at the time, a young kid thinking, "Oh, that sounds like a good deal." Like, they'll drop the misdemeanor and 9 counts of resisting arrest, because you really don't want 9 counts of resisting arrest on your record. Well, if a
Right.
cop runs you, that shit still shows up.
Yeah. Not understanding that you lose your right to vote, you lose your right to bear arms.
Well,
You
luckily,
lose,
at least I will say this: in the state of Wisconsin, once you are off probation and off all paper, essentially, for the state, you do get your right to vote back.
oh, that's cool.
So, I will say that it did prevent me from moving to Kentucky, because I had plans to move to Kentucky at one point, but felons in Kentucky never get to vote again. You lose your right to vote for life. So,
Wow, man. That's insane, dude. And sorry to like ask you so many questions now, but I think one of the things that as you run a podcast, you realize is that people don't really learn necessarily about you as much as like when you guest on someone else's show or something like that. So I'm always so interested to hear like the stories of the people that I talk to. And wow, yours is a whopper.
yeah, no, it's an interesting story, and I know that, and I've kind of talked about it a little bit before. Not a ton. Most of the people in like Tundra know about it because I'm open and honest about it. I've always have been. It's an interesting thing when you come into a gun community and you're talking about guns and you're talking about them knowledgeably, but at the same time you haven't been able to handle one in 12 years.
Yeah, man.
Because it was 12 years since I've been able to open a gun, um, or hold a gun, fire a gun, anything. When I joined, into the Tundra Tactical Discord and was hanging out with all those guys and all that stuff. So it's like, it's an interesting conversation starter, especially even like, being the webmaster for an organization like the 3percenters.org forum. Like, how do you broach that subject? It's like everybody's about freedom, about guns, about this, about that. It's like, yeah, I'm not allowed to own guns. I'm a felon. It's illegal for me to own guns. I'm now taking part in this website with you guys, that puts me on a federal watch list, which I'm already a felon. So what's the difference?
Right. No doubt. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's definitely been a unique experience. But I've never been afraid to talk about it. Like,
Yeah. No,
it's a
dude,
part of who I am, and I think a lot of people forget that. Like, your past makes up who you are, and if you don't accept your past, like, you're losing a part of yourself. So,
dude, in my life, I've been a complete piece of human shit. Like, and it was in my younger years, without question. But the greatest thing about being a piece of shit and then gaining a little bit of perspective on things is that you get to spend the rest of your life working to never be that piece of shit again. And like that, there's something to be said about that. That's pretty huge. Like without question, like every action that I take today is because I never want to be the Shawn of 2 decades ago.
Exactly. And that's something that, you can always play on, and it puts things in a lot of perspective. So, I know one of the shirts that I have on my website, I literally put out there for my daughter. Um, um, there's two things that I'll go back to jail for. My daughter and my son. So like, in my life, those are two things that don't fuck with, like I worked my ass off to get them. My wife and I both did. We struggled for like 7 years just to get pregnant. So it was like, now that we have them, I'm not gonna give them up for anything. So I've like my shirt literally for her says like it says something like, before you do anything stupid, just know my dad's not afraid to go back to jail.
I think I've actually seen that shirt. That's amazing. Can we give a shout out to like Tyler from Tundra Nation, Tundra Tactical? Like, I will tell you that I have friends all over the gun world. Tyler is one of my favorites because he's driven. Like his love for his wife and his daughter. Like he's driven. He wants to do better. He wants to do more, and it's just a really good thing. And he's built a great community, and community is what everything is all about. And if I can give you any advice, it's build that community. You saw all the people calling me a cult leader and things like that. Like I laugh and I joke and I go along with it, but nothing exists without this community of people that actually consume our content. And without them, and if they don't get our utmost respect, like we're nothing. Well, I mean, we're just idiots talking on the internet.
Yep. No, and that's 100% true. And definitely I'll give that kudos to Tyler because, if it wasn't for Tundra, if it wasn't for the Tundra Nation, Tundra Tactical, I wouldn't be here. Like, I literally probably, starting this, I in the back of my head said, well, if fucking Tyler can do it, God damn it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Jokingly, but it's literally, that's the point of it. Like, the nation, the community that he's built isn't like anything else I've ever been a part of. Like I said, these guys got together without me knowing it, built an AR rifle, and then me and one of the other members got together at a range, and he literally handed it to me and said, well, what do you think? That's yours. Like, that's incredible. Like, that doesn't happen. Like,
yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's an incredibly humbling experience, but it's like, you're a part of this community, and because you're a part of that community, we're a part of that with you. Like, this is your celebration. This is what we wanted to do for you. So, people that I never actually met in person put something together, put something online together online, and gave it to me. And like Mark Spivey says, it's a family, and we are. Like, the community gets bigger, and it's still a family. It really still is a family. We're a little bit more dysfunctional now. But it's definitely one of those things where it's like, even, it's growing, but there's like this following that's like smaller. We're together a little bit tighter, but as the community grows, it doesn't change. It's like, it just spreads. It's like a virus, right?
Yeah.
It's the same strength. It's just, we all have our little subsets. It's the same as families. Like, when you get together, it's like this group kind of coordinates over here, this group coordinates over here, but in the end, it's all family, and we'll all do anything for anybody. So,
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, like there's a lot of bigger content creators in this industry that don't give a fuck about anybody but themselves. Tons of them. Tons of them. Like
right.
I would say 75% easily. So when you see people that are doing good for other people with no expectation of remuneration or any kind of benefit to themselves, like those are the people to pay attention to. They're the people to invest your time, energy, and thought into. You'll have people that will come on your show and they'll do it because they think it's an opportunity to promote themselves, and that's fine. Like, do that because that helps you ultimately. But pay attention to the people who actually like care. Pay attention to the people who will actually do you a favor when you ask for that favor, and just
Right.
keep note. That's how you survive in this industry, is just by paying attention and truly like watching what people do when they're not being watched,
Right.
and that will tell you everything you need to know.
Right. And I get that, and I've seen that already, and one of the things, like I've said it before in this community, is like just how open a lot of people are, and how willing to help out somebody, you know, smaller they are. Like I couldn't believe it, like when even just like Brandon Herrera, like granted I think I had him on when he was at like 500,000 subs, but still, I mean, the guy had 500,000 subscribers and he was my 6th show. Like I just asked him, like, and he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." Like that's incredible. Like there's people who are willing to go. He had nothing to gain from it. I think I had 40 followers at the time. We had like 8 people live on the stream, you know, but I had fun. I think he had fun. Like he literally said, like, I didn't come on here. I didn't think I was going to come on here and talk about my time in law school or accounting, but here we are.
Right. No, that's awesome. Brandon's one of those guys. Like Johnny, he's one of those guys. Like they're people who care. Like Johnny, whenever we travel to this, like when we were just in Georgia, like we were together like 75-80% of the time, because Johnny's one of the guys who's a human being that I know
Yep.
like actually cares more than most of the other people who are just out. Like Johnny's not just out to promote himself. He's like a human being that actually cares and has feelings and things like that. And you will find that occasionally in this industry, but it's less often, I think, than we would hope, and that we would really hope for.
Right.
But there are other people out there, and you've mentioned a couple of them already. Like Brandon, he's just a good dude. Johnny, he's just like a fantastic fucking human being. Like,
Right. Yeah. And maybe I've been lucky, and I just, you know, I've been kind of surrounded by the good of those people, because it's like, it really is like, you know, Black Diamond Guns and Gear, you know, Johnny, um, fuck, everybody I've had on has been just absolutely amazing. And people that I haven't even had on that have reached out, or I've reached out to them, and just, you know, it's been an incredible ride. And you know, I hope to continue to meet new people and do different things. And you know, I've got all these things planned and these grandiose ideas, and it's like I don't even care. Like it's just been fun for me, and it's definitely just an experience. So you know, I appreciate that from everybody. And like even reaching out to you, I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna do it, but I don't care. People can say no all they want, but if I don't ask, it's always gonna be no. So
oh my God, yeah. Like the first thing that we ever learned was lots of people will say no, but some people will say yes.
exactly.
And holy shit, when they say yes, like give them the world.
Right. So you know, and that's where I am. It's like I have fun with it, and it's just that. It's just fun. And you know, I like I said, I don't have a huge platform, and for me to give anybody a platform, like I don't care if you have no followers, if you're not even on here. I think actually next week I have a guest coming on. This is newly announced, because you know, my guest originally for next week was going to be the Coda Boy episode pre-recorded. So I like on the reels, on the heels, I went out and I've had, you know, a member of the Tundra Nation who said, "Oh, I'll come on, I'll come on, I'll come on," and I'm like, I think maybe he thought I was never going to say yes, but I literally reached out to him. I'm like, "So you've been saying you want to come on? Would you like to come on?" Like, I don't care. You don't need to have followers to come on my show. I just want to have a conversation. So, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So next week, for everybody who is watching, and especially the Tundra Nation, know I'm going to have Semper as my guest. So, Crazy Explosives guy is coming on, and we're going to have some interesting conversations. So,
That's awesome. That's always been one of the things that we focused on, is never caring like what someone's audience is, just caring that they're interesting and have a story to tell.
right. Yep. Yeah, I think Mario just said Hypo. No, Hypo is actually coming on the 22nd, or at least he says he's coming on the 22nd. He was supposed to be on
Yeah.
last week and then get called into work, and
He may have been drunk. I don't know.
I think he actually got called into work. It was unfortunately for him, he works IT. You know what that's like, and he works for a
Yeah.
large corporation, and it was an end of year switchover. So
I know exactly what all of those things are like. I
I
may work a lot now, but at least I'm not fucking getting paged in the middle of the night to fix dumb shit.
right. And like he said, I think what Hypo has said too is when you make as much money as he does working in the kind of field that he does, unfortunately, being called into work whenever the fuck somebody wants to call you into work is a problem. But it's a problem you have to live with. So.
Yep. I've been there many, many years. That's kick ass. That's awesome, man. Yeah, absolutely. This is exciting.
Yep. And Mark Spivey says, drop it like it's Scott's to be on 2 this month. Yes. Drop it like it's Scott, who's also in the chat, will be on the 29th. So we're looking forward to good conversation from all these people. And it's definitely, it's just fun. Like I said, this to me is more valuable than 90% of my conversations during the week with people that I work with, even, because it's like, I can't be who I am at work because you never know what people think. And it's like, well, luckily for me, mostly I've learned that engineering is very conservative.
Yeah. I will totally agree with that. Lots of people that I always worked with, but I'll tell you this, that the most freeing thing in the universe is not being afraid to talk about who you are. And doing this full time, I've never been freer.
Right.
And holy fuck, man. Like not caring, not worrying that someone's going to fire you, get mad at you. Like, of all the freeing things that can happen in this universe, that is the most freedom that one can experience. And the fact that I get to do it, like, I'm the luckiest guy that's ever lived.
Right. That's awesome, because it's like, that's the one thing is, like, you always say, you get what you put in. You're putting in a crap ton of work. You're getting a lot of benefit out of it just by, like you said, being that your own boss, being able to do what you want to do. That's absolutely incredible. And one day maybe I'll get there, but at least I know where I'm at. I don't have to worry about getting fired for saying what I'm saying. I know that the people who are above me believe certain things similarly to what I do. Luckily, in my position, there's only 2 people that are higher than me in my company.
Yeah.
So, it's my direct boss and the owner of the company. So
that's a bonus.
I don't work for the company. I work for the R&D of the company. So I work for the future of the company. So
nice.
It's awesome, a different, man. It's a different type of environment in engineering when you work for the future than
Hell
it is
yeah.
when you work for the present, because I get to have fun. Everybody who works for the present gets to do all the work. So
it's the grind. Yeah.
Yeah. So drop it like it's Scott in here, says, yeah, Mario, I'm looking forward to the show. We're looking forward to having you too. So it's gonna be fun.
Hell yeah. It's awesome, man. I love it.
I will say I'm running low on 2 things, alcohol and energy. So I am gonna
I'm done asking questions.
No, that's fine. You got questions that you can ask when I come on your show, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll remind me whenever, and I'll give you the link to come on, and you just go sign up, and then it's all automatic from there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll figure that out. You know how to get a hold of me. I know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to put this up because I said I was going to. So if you give me 1 second, I'm going to go with this.
I'm watching.
There we go. So we turned, as we said, we turned Shawn into the Sith Lord. Had to do it. Put it up there. Everybody gets to see it now.
I see it.
So, if you haven't seen him as the Sith Lord, you now know who he really is on the inside. So,
I mean, I would definitely be Sith, probably.
It fits you well with that picture. I mean, I couldn't not do it. I'm like, fuck, that picture is not something that goes on a thumbnail, but holy shit. And I'm not even like a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm like, instantly, I'm like, dude, red in those eyes, give him the lightsaber. It's over.
Yeah, I don't even remember what hoodie I was wearing. I was literally sitting on the couch.
You're wearing it's the squid, the brown one. I have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that actually. I have the original picture too. I can do this.
That's right. I totally forgot.
Here we go. So anybody can see the original. Anybody can see this one now. I'll back out of it.
I gotta wait a second.
There it is, and it'll pop up. the original image.
There it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's the WLS Colt logo. Yeah.
So it's definitely, it's a stretch, but I couldn't help but see it. So
It's awesome. Yep. I don't even know why I sent that one. I literally just in my Google Photos, I typed in my name and it showed, and I was just like, that one.
yeah,
Done.
no, it worked. So
Because I mean, the rebels were really just like terrorists, right? So I mean, Sith was, they were just the dudes out doing their own thing.
well, there's a big argument about it, right? That the Empire wasn't wrong, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. What a time to be alive. I had no idea.
So again, I appreciate you coming on, Shawn. I've had a great time with this. Definitely a good show, and I'm glad I reached out to you because I got to pick your brain a little bit, and got to learn quite a bit about what makes you tick, and I think that's a big thing. Like for me, is understanding what makes people function, what makes them tick, and like I said, that I think that's the biggest thing about these conversations that I've learned. Everybody has their own why, and yours is really just about enjoying what you do. And I appreciate
freedom,
that.
man.
So
freedom of myself and freedom of everybody else. That's the two things I live for.
right. So I do want to just say to everybody still in the chat, drop it like a Scott, Mark Spivey, Shawn, Charles Sexton, Operator Tony as usual. I think I might have said that twice. Armament Naxes, Mario Mechanic Molina. I don't think I shot you out, but thanks for stopping by again. Just everybody who's here. I appreciate you guys stopping by every week, and to Shawn again, like I said, I appreciate your time. I know you're insanely busy. Always got something going on, and how do I end it? Like you're an incredible person. You've got so much going on. WeLikeShooting.com, WeLikeShootingShow.com, the Firearms Radio Network. You got your MeWe, you got all those links. You got at We Like Shooting on Instagram. You got the We Like Shooting videos, YouTube. You got the We Like Shooting podcast, YouTube. I've looked up so much I could probably keep rifling them off for like the next 20 minutes.
Dude, I got tired just hearing that.
Right. Well, you're the one who lives it. So you got all the tired you need to be. So again, everybody who's been watching, I appreciate it. And Shawn, just incredible guest. I appreciate it so much. And I hope in the near future I'll hear from you again, or you'll hear from me. We'll have some fun in the future as well. So
definitely, man.
No, you go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, hit me up for sure. I promise you, I will drop the ball. So hit me up, and we'll get it taken care of.
Well, I can't imagine why. You only got like 37 balls on the court. So, all right. So to everybody still watching, again, I appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Go down into the description. I've got my links down there. I've got a couple links for Shawn as well. If you're not already following him, make sure you do it. Boogbrand.com. If you want anything, we're still 25% off till the 22nd. It's gonna drop. I think I'm just going to drop back down to like 15%, and that's where we're going to stick it for a little while. We're never going to monetize this. We're never going to do anything about that. If you want to support us, you know how to do it. Boogbrand.com. Buy something cool. I don't ever want a super chat or anything like that. I just want you guys to have something cool out of the deal. I do have some affiliate links down below as far as My Patriot Supply. A couple links down there. They're worth looking at if you're looking for food storage or Alexa Pure water filtration systems. That's the main reason I went for it. I like my water filtered. I like my water to taste good. So if that's something you're into, check it out. If not, it doesn't hurt me at all. I just like to promote patriotic American companies that are trying to do the right thing. So again, Shawn, thank you. And on that, I'm actually going to end the stream this time. So I appreciate it, everybody. Have a good night, and definitely don't get too drunk.
Shoot straight.
All right.